Paul Thomas Anderson. A name I've heard a lot recently, but even before that, never got to scratch from the infinite list of directors or movies I want to watch. At least that's until recently. I have been to the cinema a lot lately. I didn't want to miss James Gunn's vision of a DC on the big screen. I couldn't run from the incredible hype brother story turned vampire slasher that was Sinners.
Now we cousins.
And I even wanted to give Marvel another chance at making a modern Fantastic Four flick. And I'm not even going to talk about anime movies this year. But as you know, when you go to the theater to watch literally anything, you will have to watch a parade of ads and movie trailers first. And amidst all of the bad ones and kind of boring trailers that I've seen over the span of 12 movies or so that I've watched in the summer alone, there was one that stuck out more than any other trailer that I've watched.
God damn it! Viva la revolution!
One Battle After Another is a thriller by Paul Thomas Anderson, in which we follow Bob Ferguson, that is a retired revolutionary, now hiding with his daughter because his ex-wife ratted him and all of his friends out to the government for her own safety after giving birth to their daughter. Lots of time later, Bob's whereabouts get leaked, causing him and his daughter to be on the run again from a big evil military man that first up had an affair with his wife and secondly is weirdly and fanatically into black girls. Now, to be fair, I didn't get all of that from the trailers alone, but it's still a clear and cutthroat storyline that wasn't confusing or complicated whatsoever on a surface level. But before we deep dive into anything else, I want to talk about my favorite part of the movie, which would be the cast. Honestly, overall, these are some of the best performances these actors have given so far. Starting with Leonardo DiCaprio, I think Leo is doing some of this best body performance and body acting I have seen to date. He just makes me laugh, and he made me laugh consistently throughout the entirety of this movie, and even his serious scenes are to be taken serious. It's Leo, he knows how to act, and you can see that in this performance as well. I don't think it's his best role at all. I think, for example, Calvin Candy has a lot more to offer here, but simply from again, body performance and body acting, it's amazing. Now, next up is Chase Infinity. First up, that's a sick as fuck name, but this is the first time I've seen her, and she was amazing. I feel like she has a lot of scenes where she doesn't really talk, but it works so well here because especially her eyes spoke more than needed. And that talent alone sometimes is more valuable than being able to say lines clearly and convincingly. And other than that, there are a lot of great characters here. Benicio del Toro, he has a funny and great performance here. Or Teyana Taylor, which is the mother. She's also great. But I think if we're going to look at the performances in this movie, and if you're going to look back at them in about 5 years from now, we will all look back at Sean fucking Penn. We all know he stole the show here, and I have rarely felt this level of disgust towards a character that, contrary to that very evil, is this goofy and hilarious prick that you want to punch in the face but can't stop laughing at. Now, that is not to say that he can't be serious. His serious scenes are actually one of the most memorable scenes that you will find in this movie. Especially towards the ends, these scenes really rile up, and he as an actor riles up to get really fucking serious, and I fucking adored that. And on top of that, I think that talking from original movie villains, I think the only real villain I can compare his character here to is Hans Landa from Inglourious Basterds, played by Christoph Waltz.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Penn watched a lot of Christoph Waltz's performances in preparation for this movie, because he simply gives off the same passion and just the same vibe that Christoph Waltz brings to his roles when I watched him. The only way I can really describe this is it is very hypnotic. It's this feeling of not being able to look away from the screen as soon as this character is in front of you, because you simply do not know what he is going to do next or what he's going to say next. And that is all packed in this beautiful present of laughs and giggles to literal. Now, again, this was my first Paul Thomas Anderson movie, and the identity and thematical focus of this movie is astounding. Now, I honestly don't want to get too political with this movie, but I think it's very, very clear where this movie stands in opposition to currently unfolding events. Now, I think that while this movie has a strong message, it misses proper repping at some spots. And this is a movie that's supposed to be about a revolutionary, about a retired revolutionary. The whole concept of revolution is very stagnant through the entirety of this movie. But honestly speaking, a revolution is defined by the people first. And those of we see very little in this movie. We stay very focused on our cast, and that wouldn't be that much of a problem if it wasn't for the fact that this movie is trying to deliver this political message, as obvious as it is. And from a movie-making perspective and just isolating itself from politics as much as possible, I think that especially the beginning and the whole reasoning behind this revolution isn't really fleshed out enough. Like, sure, I get the point because of the currently unfolding events, but again, 5-10 years from now, when maybe all these things are past us, and maybe new people, new generations want to watch this thing, maybe we could have shown this bad side that is definitely present a bit more. Because looking at it, this revolution is trying to save people, but we never see the people that they are saving really suffering. Sure, we get that they are suffering by what we see, but I still think we could have used a scene or two to maybe not replicate, but maybe do something similar to Hans Landa in, again, Inglourious Basterds, which started off with this very iconic scene of his evil being portrayed on the spot. It just feels as if it doesn't really fit that well when compared to the second and third act that transitions seamlessly. But at least while I was watching, because the first act isn't particularly long in comparison to the second and third act, I didn't mind that much. Maybe also because it was filmed on a VistaVision, meaning on actual film, which is hella noticeable. But then again, a Lambo doesn't really make that much sense if you don't have a driver's license. But damn, do they know how to drive. From the composition of certain shots to the way that action is portrayed here, it is just... And on top of that, sure, this movie doesn't really have a classic per se soundtrack. Instead, you get this piano that is constantly all over the place and intensifies when it needs to, making the soundscape feel as if it was an actual part of the world and present for each character. And some might even prefer a classical soundtrack in comparison to this here. But this felt fresh, and it felt new, and it stuck out, which, in my opinion, is better than having a lackluster soundtrack. Overall, the glaze that this movie is getting is astronomical. And personally speaking, I think it deserves it. I can see how a lot of people might not like this movie. May it be because they don't agree with the core message of this movie, or may it also be because of the way that maybe soundtrack is handled here, or people don't like the characters and think they're too goofy. I can absolutely see how that might be the case for some. But for me personally, this movie blew me away. From the acting, to the soundscape, to the camera work, I think this movie is nothing short of a masterpiece. Which is why I am giving One Battle After Another a 10 out of 10 when it comes to enjoyment. I have two scales, an enjoyment scale and an actual scale. And on an actual scale, rating it, I'll give One Battle After Another a 9.5 out of 10. Why not a 10? While I'm glazing this movie, one thing I haven't mentioned is the fact that while I loved everything here to an extent, I think that this movie isn't as rewatchable as other classics out there. I haven't had the urge to watch this movie again, and I think that might just be the nature of thrillers in general. I think that the driving point for a lot of these scenes are questions, and the reason that you watch them is to see those questions get answers. And I feel, or what I'm feeling here, is the fact that because I know the answer to these questions already, the real point of these scenes are sort of lost within its story because you know everything. And I am sure that the beginning is part of me feeling that way. But I think a lot of these scenes could drag when you know what's happening already. I just think that if you want to be a 10 out of 10 movie experience, it needs that rewatchability that I'm not feeling here. But now let me ask you this. Did you see one battle after another? And if you did, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. This is it for now. The next real movie I'm excited about is the Chainsaw Man movie, which will be out on the 23rd for me. I'll watch it on the 23rd. And you can expect a review there as soon as possible. I'll see you then, and thank you for watching.